What's up, Capstone family? This is Drummond coming at you on this December the 17th, Friday. I hope you're doing well. I am back from a week of vacation. The family and I and some friends had a chance to get out to Maui for a week, and that was exciting and fun, and we really enjoyed it. And I'm glad to be back in the office, but it was very nice to be away for a minute and experience something outside to recharge. Hey, this week was tough. Let me tell you, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes here at Capstone right now. And, as we close out the year, next week I'll come in with some numbers so you can hear, exactly what we've done. Our team is smaller than it did when we finished up at the end of last year. However, we did end on a high note. So, things are really strong in the real estate market right now. Things are looking pretty good, but a couple tips that I wanted to bring to you from some challenges that I had this week. And I think one, of course, is very close to me. Wanted to talk about rental prices, which I've mentioned here for the last few months, really. So I bought a property a few months ago. It's a property over in Westgate. It's over by the stadium. A friend of mine gave it to me, had it off market, said, "Hey, what do you think of this?" I said, "I'll take it." It was a little undervalued, and it needed maybe $20K worth of work into it. We put the work into it, thought about where we should price it, and I'm really conservative. For those of you that have spoken to me on the phone, when I come up with rental prices, I'm very conservative. And the team, they like to push it a little bit more because, at different times in the market, we can totally push those values. And, they've got more of a pulse on it, seeing it every single day than I do. Honestly, I just look at the numbers and see how it looks. The trends and that type of stuff, they're going to feel it much more even than myself. So in this particular case, first mistake is I thought, hey, let's do something really cool with this one. Let's paint the cabinets blue, right? And even Evan was like, "Oh gosh, what are you thinking?" But I'd seen this before on, Instagram, and thought that this was going to be the way to go, knock it out of the park. We did, new flooring, really sexy, all with the vinyl plank. It's like the little bit darker wood, but it matches really well with the soft grayish walls. Looks really good. The trim looks really tight, polished, all the doors replaced. And these cabinets, these bright blue cabinets, which came out a lot brighter than we thought they were going to. So I think I need to get away from trying to make these things sexier than they need to be, and just keep them as easy as possible. I'm glad that was with one of mine and not with one of yours, because I think you would have been pretty ticked if I would have suggested painting these cabinets blue and they came out looking like they did. We finally got that son of a gun rented this month. Oh, this is literally 2.5 months in. It will be 3 months before the tenant actually moves into the property, that this property's been vacant. And it wasn't just because of the blue cabinets. I will be adamant about that. Pricing, we overpriced it, and I let it sit. And I said, you know what, we'll get it. I was overconfident that the market was going to continue doing what it was doing, even though we're going into the slow season. And, let it rock. And guess what? We rented it for what I thought we were going to be able to get from the very beginning. So it's like, you know what? The market is still very hot, but the market isn't stupid like it was. So that's a good lesson that I learned from this one. Again, I'm glad both of those mistakes were made with mine and not with yours. I do try to push things here and there because, again, I can always opt to say, hey, if I lose some money here or there, it was for learning, right? At least that's what I tell myself. And then I can convey the messaging on back to you all and to our clients and friends. And the team gets to see it. That's been helpful as well. They can test these things out on some of the stuff that we have that, hey, this is the opportunity and the time to do it, because either way it's still going to be making money, right? Another point that I wanted to make this week, we're dealing with on the buy and sell side, and I think if you're looking to buy a property, or you're looking to refinance or anything that has to do with a lender, I would definitely encourage you to expect that it's going to be harder than it should be. And what I mean by that is oftentimes we're not asking enough or the right questions when it comes to, like, even myself working with a lender. I don't know all the things to know about lending, right? At all. I see a lot of things that happen, and that leads me to asking more and more and more questions. Sometimes to the point of driving them crazy. But I think if we don't ask the questions, or we assume we know the answers to some of these questions, or the lender thinks we know the answers to them because of how we're responding, it leads to turmoil and sometimes can lead to deals falling apart. I'm working on one right now with a long-term client, love to death. And the challenge that we ran into was that the lender, in my opinion, was a little overzealous getting this thing started, and unfortunately didn't have the team structure to where they're pre-underwriting these deals before the end of the contract time, right? So like a lot of lenders, what they'll do is they'll get you a pre-qualification similar to this guy. He pre-qualifies you. You're going to then put the house under contract. You're going to go through your inspections. You're going to pay for appraisal. You're going to get to the finish line, and then a lender like this is going to put your file in front of the underwriter, the decision maker. And it's up to that decision maker as to whether or not your loan gets funded. And it could be at the nth hour. If the lender is running behind, you may not get docs to title until the day of closing, right? In this particular case, we're a week away from closing, and this guy finds out, finally getting it to the underwriter, that he can't get it done, right? So pivoting, got to figure out how we're going to make that happen. And at the end of the day, what it boils down to is making sure that as you're working with a lender, if that lender isn't asking you the hardest of questions, and if the process seems simple, lending isn't simple right now. You're probably getting asked for more paperwork than you've ever given before. You're probably having to provide proof of where your down payment has come from, so much more than you ever have in the past, that it's like almost painful. And in this particular case, I joked with my client. I said, if this process isn't painful as we go through this the second time, if this isn't painful, then something's wrong, because it should be. Because a lot of these deals right now are so hard to get done for these lenders that if they're not asking all these right questions and getting all these things checked off early, then things could implode at the end. And fortunately, this one won't. But again, this was one of those situations where I saw it firsthand, where overzealous lender thinking that they know, more than they should, may have worked with this client in the past, and they think that they know more than they do going in because they're not asking the right questions, because they're so busy that they're just wanting to keep pushing things through and not sending it to underwriting until the nth hour. When you're working with the lender, if your lender has pre-underwriting at the front end, I'd suggest it. Like that's one of the questions I would ask when wanting to work with a lender these days is, does their team pre-underwrite the loans? And if you get a pre-qual, is that like a pre-qualification or is it pre-approval? When you get a pre-approval, that means that it's been pre-underwritten, and that means that the decision has pretty much been made. All you got to do then is find the property and get everything wrapped up on the realtor side. So hope that information helps. Again, super glad to be back. I was chomping at the bit. When I'm out of the office, it just, I feel like I missed so much that's going on. This week, happy to be back. The team's excited about next year. We've got a lot of cool initiatives that are going to be rolling out and a lot of neat things that we have going on behind the scenes. In addition, you'll see a lot of changes next year. It's going to be exciting. We are growing. We are changing. And, we want to make this business better. This isn't the business that we want to sit back and go, oh, look, we're doing great. It's more like, hey, what could we be doing better? And I hope that you get that impression from us. Again, thanks to Justin, our client who came in today. He was in from out of town, from California, decided to pop in. I appreciate it. But I wanted to finish with something that he mentioned. It was so funny. He said that he loves talking to our team, but he hates talking to us at the same time. He doesn't like getting calls from us, but he loves it when he does. So loves talking to us. But I appreciated that. Thanks, Justin, for popping in. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I hope you're spending it getting ready for the holidays if you're not doing that already. And thanks for watching.